we're always thinking an eternal perspective because we have an eternal hope. So we're not just laying a groundwork for the 5-year plan for the future. We're as vertically minded business owners, we're laying a foundation for our eternal future. So we're using the resources in our business shrewdly, wisely to lay the groundwork for things we care about in eternity, which is part of what being a believing business owner is about, right?
Right.
Using your business for kingdom purposes.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Vertical Business Podcast. In today's episode, we are going to be discussing 5 biblical principles for building a successful company. And we've pulled these principles from different books in the Bible. I think it's going to be super interesting, so stick around until the last one.
Yeah, I love this one. I think it's so fun because, the Bible's not on Jeff Bezos's or Elon Musk's, top 5 reading lists that he gives to his executives, right?
No, it should be.
But it should be because, and honestly, for those out there who might be Bible people, hang in there because what you might not intuitively know is that these principles are inherent in a lot of the brands and companies that you admire. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not, these principles aren't about like how to build a rockin' sales team or a marketing funnel, but these are actually more important. There's some of the soft skills or some of those principles that you look to a brand and you're like, I love that company, and I'm not sure why. Well, a lot of them are in here in these points.
That's a great point, dude.
Yeah.
So let's kick it off. The first principle that we extracted is from Proverbs 12:15. And it's rightfully so that we pulled from Proverbs in this case, because the point we want to make as the first point is to surround yourself with wise people or with wise counsel. And there's a million ways that I think this could apply to business, especially in my story and in my journey with business. I would probably attribute the most benefit in my business and in my journey, thank you, as a leader and as a CEO to surrounding myself with wise people. And I've been kind of lucky. I was gifted Jeff as my dad, and I've met a lot of really seasoned business guys as a result of that. But yeah, I would tell you this is probably one of the most important things I've done. And so to try to distill into 2 ways I think you can apply this to your business, because like I said, I think there are a bunch of ways we could talk about. But the first, it relates to what I just said, and that's your ability to fast track or avoid mistakes and failures. Any successful business person that you talk to, or if you are successful, if you've had some success yourself in business, then you're familiar with the fact that you're going to go through failures, you're going to go through struggles as a business owner, and it's inevitable on the path to success. Nobody just is successful day one when they start a business. It takes learning, and learning comes from failing oftentimes, and usually the best lessons come from it. Now, if you have wise counsel around you, you can learn those same lessons, but in an easier way. People talk about learning things the hard way, and this is kind of the opposite. If you have, or in my case, I've had, once again, Jeff around me, and you've been able to help me avoid mistakes in hiring, in leadership, down to like the nitty gritty of how I should operate different departments in my company. If you have good mentors around you, if you have wise counsel, another thing I'll reference is I've also been intentional about this. I have my dad, but I've gone outside of my circle, if you will, and I've sought out things like I'm a part of a CEO group. And that's full of dudes that are in different stages in their business journey. They've got all kinds of different businesses. And it's been incredibly helpful to be able to bounce things off of them, learn from them.
You got to get outside your old man now and then.
Yeah, well, we're so similar.
Yeah,
it's like it's probably good for me to learn
cool
from
that you're
people.
in that group. That's a great example.
Yeah. And so those are the types of things that I would recommend. in terms of what you should, how you can be seeking out wise counsel. And, also just like the 5 friends rule that we're all most people are familiar with, the 5 people that are closest with are going to be who you turn out to be, the summation of them. It's like, this is a rule that we all know, but we don't often follow, and it is incredibly important in business. So fast tracking mistakes and failures is one really big reason I think this applies to business. And then the second is, and it relates, but it's allows you to make better decisions, or it allows you to be a better decision maker. And I oftentimes hear that leaders and CEOs are the value that they provide is the decisions that they make.
Right.
And then obviously how well you're able to execute and help other people execute those visions. But decisions are incredibly important for us as business owners, as leaders. And so it can't be understated. If something helps you make a better decision, then it's something you should value. Wise counsel does that, because if you are making decisions in a vacuum, if you are making decisions all by yourself, you might get 1 or 2 things right, especially early on. When you get into, I think like when you get into higher stakes, when you get into realms that you haven't been, it becomes really important to be able to bounce things off of other people that have been there before.
Yeah, I think that's huge. I mean, decisions made in isolation are oftentimes not good ones. You can start listening to bad voices in your head, and sometimes you borrow confidence from other people, right? Even when it comes to like confidence level and ability to like take on risk, like other people speaking into you, you can be buoyed by them. So I love that.
Good.
I really like that.
Yeah. Yep. So that's the first. You want to take the second?
Yeah, for sure. So the second is which comes from Luke 16:1 through 15, and this one is really interesting because this is from a parable called the shrewd manager, basically. And this one is such an interesting parable, and I think it's kind of a stumbling spot for a lot of people reading. And basically the parable is, there's a master and he has a manager managing his affairs. Well, the master determines the manager's not doing a good job, and he says, "You're out of here. I'm going to can you." And strangely enough, he gives the manager a few days to clean up his affairs. And the manager says, "What shall I do? I'm going to be my identity is a business guy, right? My identity is a manager, and I'm respected for that in my community. And if I get fired, I'm not going to have anywhere to go. No one's going to hire me. No one will take me in." So he says, "I know what I'll do. I will use my remaining days to give myself a future and friends." And he starts actually being unscrupulous, is what it looks like as you read it. And he is.
You're ready for like Jesus to
and Jesus is kind of the head scratching as you're reading this. You're like, Jesus, what is this about? And so the guy says he gets with these people who owe the master money, who are indebted to him, and he says, "Hey, you owe him 100 barrels of oil. Sit down quickly and make it 50." He gives him a 50% discount. So he's like, and this is like apparently like 10 crop seasons worth of oil out of like a huge amount of olive trees.
It's a big deal.
It's a big deal. It's a lot. It's a vast amount of resource. And he just gives him a 50% discount. He does it again with another guy. He discounts the amount of wheat that is owed to the master by like 20%. He says take it from 100 down to 80. And then what's crazy is that then Jesus goes on to explain how the master finds out, and he compliments him for his shrewdness. So you're like, what is this about? Well, I think it's got fantastic business application because
totally.
I think quite often, if you're doing business as a Christian, if you're doing business for the kingdom, there might be this. I think there can be this like low masculinity, low strategy level, low kind of like, well, I'll just
feel like you need to be a doormat.
Yeah, I kind of need to be a doormat. I mean, I just I don't want I want to have want to treat everybody right and maybe not be as strategic and shrewd and aggressive as you should be. And what the basis of this parable is that Jesus says that the sons of light should be as shrewd as those who are in the world in using and utilizing the resources in the world's system, the economic system, and money and business. And he says we should be just as shrewd as those in the world. So what that's saying is like Your business acumen is to be just as sharp as your unbelieving competitor down the street. Your business acumen isn't just to like hope God takes care of you. If I'm generous, maybe God will just take care of us. Like, no, we pray and we act. And so it's your job to be shrewd, just like those around you. And basically there's two principles here. One is you're using the world system, using the money that's in your business, you're laying foundation for the future. There's temporal future and then there's eternal future, both of which, if you're a sharp business owner, you should be thinking in terms, be future minded. Don't be short-term minded. Be thinking about you should have a run book, a playbook for the next 5 years. Use the resources that are at your disposal to be thinking ahead. Be shrewd, have a plan. And then the extension of that is we're always thinking in eternal perspective because we have an eternal hope. So we're not just laying a groundwork for the 5-year plan for the future. We're as vertically minded business owners, we're laying a foundation for our eternal future. So we're using the resources in our business shrewdly, wisely to lay the groundwork for things we care about in eternity, which is part of what being a believing business owner is about, right?
Right.
Using your business for kingdom purposes. The second one is he's getting friends. So he's like, what will I do? He's making friends by giving discounts, and he's caring about having friends in the future. Well, your business, you need to treat people well by being shrewd, being a solid business owner, having great culture, and affecting the people that are around you in your business, your employees, your customers, even your vendors. First of all, you want to do good business because doing good business makes people attracted to your business. And business just gets easier. The more integrity you're known to have, the better business you do, the more successful you are, and the better you treat people. People want to do business with you, and business gets easier. It's a great business tactic to treat people well and to help them. And secondly, we're also thinking about the souls around us by utilizing the business resources we have to think about their eternal future and to be thinking about being kingdom-minded and being missional with the business resources you have. Be shrewd with those things in terms of what can I do to advance the mission? How can I see the people in my business saved? And how can I get the gospel in front of them? And so not being a doormat, being sharp, being strategic, being a solid business owner who thinks in these terms. We learn that I believe in this parable. And I listened to a MacArthur sermon on this that kind of helped unpack that for me. And he makes those two points really well. You'll have to check it out. But
yeah, you
absolutely applicable to business.
Yeah, super good. And as you said, it can be a real head scratcher when you read that one.
Yeah, if you read it at face value, you're like
yeah.
What? Oh.
Well, you kind of, I mean, based on public sentiment, you kind of associate shrewdness with being like
a little bit,
slimy executive or
right.
lawyer or something. So
right.
It's interesting to think in those terms.
Yeah.
But we all that run businesses, if you do, you know the advantage of thinking strategically and being shrewd. So
yep.
Yeah, really intriguing. So number 3. So this comes from Philippians 2:3-4. And the point we want to make that we pulled from there is you should consider your customers better than you. And
the customer's always right.
That's literally what I have written down.
Sorry.
No, it's good. The quote "a customer is always right" is something we've all heard, and it's a great representation of the point we want to make, or I'm trying to make with this verse. Another point that like could have effects all across your business. But the main one I want to point out is, for starters, customer's always right is so popular because that is a principle that most employers want their employees to live by. We all, as business owners, have had moments where we hear about an unsavory interaction between our employee and a customer, and for me, that ticks you off. You want this to be lived out because you want to have the right reputation,
Yeah.
and we know how fast word can travel, and reputation just matters a ton in business, as you just pointed out. So the customer's always right is first of all something that you should be teaching your employees, and you should be representing yourself as a leader so that your employees live that out. And then number two is when you think about building when you think about the services and the products that you offer your customers, or you are building for your customers, if you're in R&D mode, and you probably, there's a lot of industries where it's required at all times because you got to be keeping up. So whether you're thinking about starting something and you're looking at what you're going to offer, or you're in R&D mode and you're looking to improve your offering, there is nothing better, in my opinion, and I think in yours, when you're trying to build something that will be successful, that has product market fit. There's nothing better that you can do than put yourself in the shoes of your customer. You need to care about your customer if you want to build something good for them. If all you're worried about is money and yourself, you're selfish as you're building out your product and your service, it's not going to land well, I can promise you. So considering customers better than yourself.
Yeah, by the way, there's so much data around that.
Yeah.
Like
Crazy
when
amounts.
You actually go to market with a sentiment of truly caring about the outcome of either the world or your customers, where you're literally you're not just trying to like serve them or do right by them to make money. You genuinely
care about them.
You genuinely care. And it's funny how that translates into a really great business.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. So that's the second point is considering customers better than you is advantageous for your business for many very practical reasons.
Dude, that could be the most solid business point out of all of them. I don't know. Like if you embody taking care of people and genuinely, if you get to the heart of this first and you genuinely care about people and you genuinely put customers first, you put people first, right down to even when it hurts you, when you discount that bill because your people didn't do a good job and you know it's owed to you, or maybe they weren't even, maybe the customer is wrong and you still say, you know what, I care about you. I'm gonna whatever makes you feel good, whatever your perception is, I want to take care of you, dude. You can build a monster empire just on that one sentiment.
Take that to the bank.
Oh man,
yeah.
I mean, Nordstrom's, these companies have proven it over and over. That is a rock solid business principle.
Well, go watch our last episode about how few people are doing that nowadays and why that's the greatest advantage in today's business landscape.
Yep.
So
I love that.
Remember that one.
Yep. Okay, that's good. So third principle that we definitely believe, it's baked into the Sparrow DNA. It's baked into the vertical business, the ethos of the things we talk about, and that is be generous. Being generous has this amazing way of making you into a successful company. It's really counterintuitive. Obviously, we think there's biblical and spiritual facets to that fact, right? There's an impetus behind the success of generous companies. We believe that's God using that company, but it is absolutely a business tool. Do not write this one off. This is absolutely a strategic business element of your company that will not only promote success in your company, but it will make you a better company as you're successful as well. And so business generosity, we believe, should be in the value system. So if you've written out your value and your mission statement, it should be right in there. And I'm talking about not even just Christian business owners. This should be inherent in any business that exists, because if you're a flourishing business, you should be giving back. And people see it. People watch it. They're looking for companies to share their wealth. They're looking for companies to have this perspective of being generous. And here's what happens is, if you set generosity as a boulder or a pillar in your business at the top, what happens is it filters down into the nooks and crannies of your business, and it affects how your people interact. It allows them to treat others better than themselves, and and it gets into the DNA of your company, and it makes your company have this flavor.
Well, there's so many ways you can be generous.
Yes, there's so many ways you can be generous for
I
sure.
mean, it's not just the act of giving out of your profits or your revenue to a cause. It's like there's so many different ways that can be applied.
Yep.
As you're saying.
And I believe that it helps attract the right people to the table too. It brings in, I've lost count of the amount of people. We had a certain video for Legwork that we played that basically described what we were about.
Yeah.
And I've lost track of the amount of good quality, either mid-level managers and up executives who saw that video, absolutely not believers, who saw that video and said, I want to work for you. Because they wanted to feel like they're working for a company that's living for a bigger purpose than to just stuff bags of money into the bank. People want to know that they're associated with a company like that. People want to think they're part of something bigger than themselves. And generosity is the seed of that. It's the root that starts in a company that starts to cause that to flourish, starts to have that happen. And amazing things happen in your culture and in your business if you're generous.
Yeah, so well put. And yeah, we talk about that all the time. I mean, as you said, that's baked into everything Sparrow's doing and all of our businesses. And we talk about it a lot, but it's good every time you say it, every time you talk about it. I mean,
and I just can't go without saying too, like if you are a conduit, if your business is a conduit, there's a good chance, it's not a guarantee, but there's a decent chance based on 2 Corinthians 9:6 through 15, that God, if he sees you as faithful with the things he's given you, that he will give you more.
He'll use you.
Yeah.
He'll use your business.
He'll use you as a conduit. And we've seen
Nothing
it happen
more
over and
purpose-filled
over.
than that as well.
Yeah. So anyway,
good.
Generosity.
Okay, so last one. We're getting long here, but these are all super good. As you can tell, we believe in these points. The last one is to think big and use your business for big things. And the verse that supports this point is Ephesians 3:20 and 21. Go read it if you want. Maybe we'll put it up on the screen or something for people. But think big and use your business for big things. So for starters, I think similarly to like the shrewd business owner analogy, I think we tend to have this we tend to have this as Christian business owners, this view of business where it's like wanting to have a big successful company feels like it's a stretch.
Yeah.
And like it's pride filled and it's maybe the wrong desire. And the funny reality is like totally the opposite, because God is, if God is at the center of your business, if you're kingdom minded and God gets behind your business, your dream for your business is probably way smaller than God's. I mean, we've all heard the God-sized dream statement used, and that can be so true for your business. You should have a God-sized vision for your business. And why this is good business practice is, once again, as a leader, as a CEO, your job is to cast vision. And that's one of, if not the most important thing you can do for your business, because everything that we talk about that is good and right as a CEO, it all falls underneath having a vision in the first place. So this really enables you to cast a vision that is big enough to, and the list goes on, attract good people and that want to work for you. You can attract customers that way. And you can provide a bigger purpose for your business. Lots can fall underneath that vision. And so,
dude, I just have to say, like, I absolutely love that, because business is about more than just making money. That's what we try to say. Business is a vehicle. It's not just it's not the end game. It's a vehicle for all these great things that come out of business, right? It's a vehicle for generosity. It's a vehicle for causing flourishing around you. It's a vehicle for getting employees saved and sharing the gospel. It's a vehicle for showing excellence as God designed it to be in the world. And so it drives me crazy when leaders don't have a bigger vision than just building a lemonade stand. It's like, dude, your business can be big and it can be impactful. So I don't mean to interrupt you, but like,
No,
I
dude,
just love,
that's
had
great.
to throw that in there. It's just like, think big, do big things, you know?
No, that's awesome. And that's exactly where I was going with it. So, that's our five principles. I don't, how do you want to close this out?
Yeah, I think I do. I think that, again, some of these aren't the principles you're going to read on like Alex Hormozy's, you know, or Grant Cardone's YouTube.
The typical gurus.
But they are some of the most bedrock foundational principles that are baked into companies that you love and respect and are successful. Look at Nordstrom's. Nordstrom sells the same clothes as everybody else, generally speaking. Why do you shop at Nordstrom's? Because they care about people and they genuinely are trained to do so. These principles are absolutely tied to business success. If you adopt them, you implement them, you get them into the DNA of your company, these principles will help you build the company of your dreams.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for your interest in the Vertical Business Podcast. If you like what you heard today or you're just interested in all things business, go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below. Turn on bell notifications so you know when we're posting. We're typically posting 2 times a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays, but you never know when we might not drop a short or something impromptu. And in addition to on YouTube here, you can also follow us or find us on Spotify as well as Apple Music, where we post our episodes as well. And then lastly, if you want to engage with us outside of the podcast, you can find us on our website at gosparrow.com. That is where you can subscribe to our newsletter and get access to our other content outside of the Vertical Business Podcast. So we're looking forward to seeing you there.